This one's heavy.
Yeah, I got an article here from the Baltimore Sun in front of me. It says, Reisterstown man survives Brussels airport explosion. That man's name is Brian Stanley, and that man is sitting right to my left in studio. Good morning, Brian Stanley.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you guys for having me.
I've said it many times to many guests. Glad to have you. Glad you're here. Really glad you're here. Like, extra glad. Able that you can just still be here.
Yeah.
Holy hell, man. Josh, recap. You covered the story. Some would say the best out of all news organizations. And that person's me, Mike.
Stop it.
And, recap the Brussels
What
thing.
was it, 2 weeks ago? About 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
There was a couple of explosions in the airport in Brussels. Another explosion at the metro stop, and many people were killed. And you were at the Delta counter at the airport. So tell us what happened exactly.
So it was my first time to Europe. I was invited there to help my instructor, Doug Marcaida, on Friday teach law enforcement police there.
Because we also need to point out that you are a Muay Thai instructor.
Yes, sir.
Right? The fighting art from Thailand.
Yes.
Made famous by the movie Kickboxer.
That's correct.
And
Van Damme.
you could basically just kick a tree in half.
No.
needed.
I kicked the tree, and that's it.
That's fun. So you're going over there. Yeah. You're going to go help your instructor. There you are in the airport.
Yeah. So we missed our flight on Monday due to a baggage issue with Delta, and I pulled some strings, and I talked to 4 uniformed French police officers in the airport, and they tried to get the plane held for us. We missed our flight on Monday by 4 minutes.
Oof.
Oh,
so we had to stay overnight right there at the airport, and we made the best of a bad situation, So it was the same flight, same time out Tuesday morning. When we got there, we got in line at the stanchions, and my student went over to get our boarding passes. He came back over. Like I said before, there was no big red flags. There was no arguing going on. There was no yelling. There was no one was disgruntled in line.
Just a normal day.
Yep. And
you might even say a decent day at the airport if it's calm, no arguing.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, we were just having a normal conversation, talking about the seminar, things we wanted to work on. So we're facing the Delta counter, and we're having a conversation. So over my left shoulder, the explosion went off. The bomb went off.
How far from you?
I want to say about 50 feet.
Whoa! 50 feet away. So in that moment, you're having a conversation. The next moment, explosion. And
what is he? How do you
process?
Yeah, well, how do you describe an explosion like that close? What happens to your senses? What do you hear, see, smell?
The initial is obviously the noise, right? You hear the noise first. I've said it. A weird analogy is that picture Mike Tyson hitting you as hard as he can in the center of the chest. That was the first thing you feel in your chest.
Whoa.
But when the explosion happened, it's like me just clapping my hands like this, and at that moment, all the lights went out, glass exploded, but the entire structural damage, the ceiling, everything dropped all at once. There was a huge flash of light, but it wasn't light, it was flame. That resonated over my left shoulder. You could feel the heat from the flame itself, and at that moment, it's obviously nothing like this has ever happened to me before, but it's like everything's in slow motion at that point.
What's going through your mind?
At that point, it's shock. I wasn't even initially scared. I really wasn't scared. It was shock.
More of a sense of confusion is what has just
Absolutely.
happened.
Yeah.
Because does your mind even process bomb? Does it think plane explosion? Or you're just in a state... and I've also heard that after a close proximity to an explosion, that you'll just get that immediate tone in your ears, almost like a
ringing.
muffled sense. Like someone's once described a large explosion going off near you, like someone's putting their hands over your ears, and you could almost not hear anything.
Absolutely. So if I were to try to paint a picture here, once you heard the noise, all the structural damage, everything, all the lights, everything came down. Again, the flash of light, the huge flame, your ears are ringing to the point where literally if I was yelling at you this close distance, you really couldn't understand what I was saying. I knelt down. We were in between 2 pillars. There's a photo that was taken by my student, Russ Dijak. When he took the photo, you can see where we were right in between where the two pillars were, and you can see actually the flames that were still there, the fire. I knelt down. I had my bag with me, and I took cover over my head, but I looked up at him, and he had some debris and ceiling tile on him. So once we knew that we were physically okay, I panned left and right because I was unsure as exactly what had happened. I mean, I knew it was an explosion, most likely a bomb, but I wanted to make sure that we could get to the front door to exit for safety, and then we made it out of the front of the airport.
Again, we're joined by Brian Stanley. He is a program director, KRU Muay Thai in Maryland, who was in Brussels during the ISIS bombing that just recently occurred. Claimed 32 victims, March 22nd, 2016. 16 from Belgium, 4 from the United States, Netherlands, Sweden, China, France. Everyone suffered casualties. You were there. Did you suffer any physical damage at all? Burst eardrums? You said the ceiling fell onto you. Or any debris cut you, or did you make it out pretty much unscathed?
There was debris on me, but I made it out unharmed. The only thing that my student and I, once we sheltered in place at a very small hotel, there was a clear shotgun shell casing and some dark red, like chalk debris on my jacket that we took off. And we actually gave it to the anti-terrorism unit there, and another article that was found in my student's bag. But his hair was singed, his back was sore, maybe slightly bruised, but we both made it out, unharmed, which is just,
and
surreal.
When you're running out of the airport and you're finally safe, or you think you're safe for the time being, because I imagine when you found out that this was a terrorist attack, you didn't know if, and then there was another bombing at the train station, you don't know if the city is under attack, they're shutting down Brussels. What, I already forgot my question. Where do you
go?
How
do we get out? What do we do?
Yeah, you go to the hotel, and what are you thinking then?
So we found a very small hotel because immediately when we actually made it to a cab, which took a little while, the team there, Mastro Defense System, they got in touch with me and they said, we've been trying to get a hold of you. Where are you? Are you okay? And they said, there's 2 officers from the anti-terrorism unit that I knew and I was training there, and they said they want you to stay there. Don't go to any heavily populated areas.
Yeah.
Nice hotels, restaurants, etc. The hotel that we were, bad luck, we were about maybe within 2 blocks of where the Metro bombing happened.
Yeah.
At that moment, they sent uniformed police officers to come get my student and I and get us out of there and get us to safety. My whole mindset at this point with everything going on was not so much fear. It was constantly doing threat assessments, and constantly my mindset kicked in. More training is that I have a mission. The mission is to go home. That's it. That's my whole mindset.
You had the bomb go off behind you. You said you really didn't have any physical effects, nothing, no damage, no burst eardrums, anything like that. But you were close by. And Brian, did you suffer anything psychologically? Have you had any trouble sleeping? Have you? Has it rattled you? I mean, something like that, and even the most hardened of men is going to rattle them mentally.
Yes, absolutely. So I think, as we were talking before in the break, I think when I was there, like I said, my main goal was to get home to my family, just to get home. And I think definitely the first day, that Friday, I left the house once. I just was very anxious, very nervous. I definitely think my perspective has changed on a lot of things, especially the appreciation of life itself. But definitely having difficulty sleeping. I'm still, nervous and anxious at times, but it's calmed down since that. But that Friday was, the first few days was just like an emotional roller coaster, because I think I suppressed so much, just trying to keep focused and keep my mind goal-oriented on just getting home.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who, obviously most people haven't experienced what you experienced surviving a bombing. What kind of perspective do you have that the rest of us probably don't have?
No, I think that, definitely some do. I think anyone who, like our men and women in the military, anyone who experiences anything like this, it's very traumatic. You can get past, hopefully, physical injuries, hopefully, depending on the level of that. But mentally, I think it's something that's going to stick with you. My perspective is now is, it's not that I didn't love, my family and friends before, but I'm not going to take for granted a moment where I can tell someone how much I care about them, how I feel, or even if it's just having a dinner with old friends or something like that. I have a stronger appreciation just for enjoying life. We all go through our day-to-day and we think, oh, well, I'll get to that tomorrow or next week or this or that. And, we all get very busy in our day-to-day lives. And I think sometimes we need to take a second to realize, hey, I woke up this morning. I can go about and live my life. And I want to appreciate, those around me who care about me and let them know that I care about them.
Has it brought the issue of global terrorism a little closer to you and your family and those around you? Because for the most part, Americans have been sort of insulated. I mean, obviously we have our 9/11, but the majority of international terrorism takes place overseas in Europe, and you have the downing of flights. You have this situation in Brussels. You have the bombings in Madrid from years back. But you've now taken a ringside seat to it, and we get it filtered through news organizations, through the media, and things like that. To where it's been at an arm's length. Especially ISIS has been at an arm's length compared to Al Qaeda, Hamas in the past. But is it made the world feel smaller to you? Is it affected your opinion about American politics with an election coming up? Which candidate might be best to help prevent something that happened in Brussels happening here?
I
asked you like 12 questions.
No, that's a lot. So I would say this. I would say being at my first trip to Europe and experiencing the people there and the culture. Let me say first that the people of Belgium and Brussels were very kind and compassionate and loving, strong people. This did not separate them. It brought them together. But very much the mindset is that they kept on apologizing to me for what happened. And I said, obviously, no, I said, it's not your fault, but they felt horrible. This is my first time to Europe, period. So they felt very saddened by what had happened to me.
Wow.
But for them, there was a gentleman, Bastien, he said, I'm so sorry, my brother, I'm so sorry this has happened to you, but welcome to Europe. This is a reality for them.
Yeah,
this is nothing out of the norm, unfortunately, for them to have to think about or deal with.
Yeah.
The most surreal thing to me was after the experience that Tuesday when we were trying to, shelter in place and stay safe, there was barely anyone out. They had shut down the borders. There was military and law enforcement everywhere. It was a ghost town. It was something like out of a movie. And just that experience in itself, going from Friday after we were, I was assisting my instructor, Doug Marcaida, with the police there, seeing the plaza, seeing some of the historical places. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But I think my perspective now being here, I think everyone as a whole in the United States needs to have a lot more situational awareness and be more aware and get information, right? If we're informed, then we can have a better understanding of what's going on around us.
And also, you have an instructor by the name of Fred Mastro.
Yes.
Who is basically a human weapon. That you say he's going to be visiting in town soon?
Yes. So
we need to have this dude up here. He is a bodyguard to who, and he's choreographed the fight scenes from what films?
So Saturday, April 30th, my company, Stanley Martial Arts, is hosting Doug Marcaida of Marcaida Kali. He's on the History Channel show Forged in Fire, and then Fred Mastro of Team Mastro Defense System.
Okay.
So Doug has been teaching Kali. His school is out of New York. He's very, very proficient, and he's an amazing instructor, an amazing man. He's teamed up with Fred Mastro. Fred Mastro is in Belgium and in Brussels and in Europe. He heads up executive protection. He teaches the military and law enforcement there, but he is the bodyguard to Celine Dion, Jean-Claude Van Damme, 50 Cent.
Oh!
He's protected the Dalai Lama. He's also one of the bodyguards for the Prime Minister, but
he wasn't at 50 Cent's side when he took 9 to the chest, was he?
I don't think so.
Okay, because he didn't do a good job that day if that was him.
I think he was off that day.
Okay, good. Glad that wasn't on his duty.
Yeah.
That's nuts, though. And you said he was also part of the choreography for the Taken series with Liam Neeson, with all those gnarly fight scenes where he's breaking the Armenian mob in half.
Yeah.
And you yourself are a Muay Thai instructor, and as promised before we jump to the break, we got about a minute or two here before we got to jump ourselves.
Okay.
But the gentleman to my left, you're right, with just that precious head of hair. That is associate producer Mike Anderson, who has been choked out, tapped out, vodka squirted in his eye, electrocuted, burnt, and blown up about 5 times.
All right.
And we would love to have you maybe show us a quick technique before you hit the bricks here. Brian Stanley. Mike,
Absolutely.
anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I'd like to,
Mike knows. I would like, sir, on the menu this evening, I would...
Kick me in the neck.
Could you just show us like a very basic and fundamental technique to neutralize an attacker on the street?
Sure, absolutely.
The most effective way to quickly bring somebody down.
Yeah. Can I stand up right here and
Please,
do it?
please,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Don't hurt anybody.
So no. So
Not that badly. All right, here we go. We're going to get that microphone up there. Again, go to 90online.com, Livewire on the 98 Rock app. Joined by Brian Stanley, who is about to end Michael.
I always get nervous.
So
about
if he's here,
I love these.
let's say we're in a normal situation where we could be exchanging words, and you can push me.
Okay, where you're being attacked by a lesbian. All right, there you are. Whoa.
A little bit harder.
A little bit harder.
Yeah.
So if I want to push him back, it's not this. Come here.
All right.
It's not this.
Okay.
It's right here. It's that. So first thing I would do is right
explosive.
The speed! He just beat that house!
Let's say, real quick.
Take that, Melissa Etheridge!
Let's say he tries to punch me, right?
Yeah. Okay.
He tries to punch me here.
All right.
He tries to right. No. Right. Yeah.
There you go.
Right there. So left, right here.
Right there.
Left hand,
Boom.
Right hand. Okay. Left hand. Right hand. Okay. Now to my face. Left hand.
Now punch him in the face, Mike.
Right.
Hard as you can. All right, there you go. Get near that microphone. Whoa!
The speed is insane.
Dude, you're like a hummingbird.
Right here. Left.
The speed?
Left.
He just tagged him in the ribs.
He tagged him in the ribs so hard.
Sorry about that.
There's nothing to apologize for.
Dude, you're a beast.
We are glad
Thank
you are
God you're
safe.
alive, man.
You are sound. Brian Stanley, KRU, Muay Thai,
Great
Maryland.
story.